mwe umfokulira kwa bantu kasama yusi bonse batingambe abakulu n'abaana bonse bashitata n'abaana bayo banelirawe Mwamba kasama ile fire iwe winewe boweshi Mwamba leader experience alankane wabomba Mwamba Emmanuel bonse bakasama bale fire Mwamba Emmanuel Mwamba Emmanuel Bakasama bakulira Tulefaya Mwamba wesu Emmanuel Chipani ni PF Tulefaya Mwamba wesu Emmanuel Wakuito uwele Emmanuel Mwamba Ambassador Emmanuel Tulefaya Emmanuel Mwamba Ambassador Emmanuel Bakasama bakulira Tulefaya Mwamba Good day. Today we've chosen to discuss the issue of the National Audit Office. This is where the Auditor General is housed, and remember there is another component at Ministry of Finance which is for internal audit. The National Audit Office was doing its routine annual work in relation to public funds and public accounts from 2021 to 2022. Then reports emerged that there were serious audit concerns around the fertilizer procurement, the cancellation of hunting licenses, and other huge financial irregularities. Then all of a sudden we saw a huge crackdown where law enforcement agencies are purporting that the National Audit Office, there have been irregularities regarding to unearned or fraudulently obtained allowances. Well, Mr. Dick Schela, who's the Auditor General, was summoned to the SEC and has since been arrested. The two deputies who are permanent secretaries, Madam Clara Mazimba and Mr. Francis Imbewe, were suspended and taken to Cabinet Office. Then government also removed or suspended Mr. Chiwe Mulonda, who's the Controller of Internal Audit. Government also suspended 5 directors from internal audit, and over 92 officers have had their accounts frozen. We thought that this was a very serious matter. I've looked at the literature. I started with the reports, I think thanks to the MAST and Transparency International Zambia, that have kept this matter alive for the last 1 year. But however, as the more literature I looked at, the more I got concerned. It appears that the process the entire process of establishing these unearned allowances is not fair. First, the number of people arrested are far too few to the number of people that obtain these allowances. We recognize that investigations are ongoing, but these allowances were approved, first of all, using Article 77 of the Constitution of Zambia. They were approved using standing orders of 2016 from the National Assembly. They were approved from the authority given from the clerk of the National Assembly. They were approved using the Public Finance Management Act and Section 71, 1K, 1G, and Z. They were approved using the letters of Secretary to Cabinet and Secretary to Treasury. They were approved using the Permanent Secretary. So how come thoroughly approved allowances could be illegal? I've also noted that there was a special audit that was done to look at the allowances between these allowances, 2019 and 2021. And there are speculations that up to 100 million or 1 billion has been lost. Where are our concerns? Number one, the number of people suspended and arrested. The documents show that a lot of people got these allowances from National Assembly, from Bank of Zambia, from Ministry of Finance, and other associated offices. The purpose of these allowances is that the National Assembly approved these allowances to technical and specialized staff who usually are permanently attached. They are called permanent witnesses to the Public Accounts Committee and two other committees, one on statutory bodies and the other ones on parastatals. So these are permanent witnesses and they usually provide their technical service. The Auditor General, the Controller of Internal Audit and others as permanent witnesses can recruit other staff who are associated with the query that PAC is looking at. Hence, the allowances are very extended. But we've seen selectiveness in the manner this has been handled. What appears to be the problem? I think, number one, the Auditor General's work for 2021-2022, and we hope that that will not be disrupted. We saw a permanent secretary from Ministry of Agriculture illegally refuse to submit to the Auditor General, where the Auditor General has been battling, looking for information since December, and this permanent secretary has disregarded the law, disregarded the Auditor General. Whatever the politics, that permanent secretary has a fundamental legal obligations to give the Auditor General the information that he requires, all the procurement documents, all the procurement plans, all the invoices, all the payments that have been done under his office. He cannot refuse. Secondly, it was that big issue. You remember that the Minister of Finance hired 6 consultants, 6 audit firms to audit the domestic public debt. And there were issues when they decided to move to law enforcement agencies, to the Ministry of Defense, to Zambia Army and other defense forces. We raised very serious concerns there. For one simple reason, the law doesn't allow. The law doesn't allow for these outsiders to audit law enforcement agencies, the national intelligence, work of cabinet, and defense and national security doesn't allow. And it provides for specific circumstances under which this can be done. Number one is that the Auditor General should submit to the President this request. He should demonstrate that he doesn't have adequate staff. He should demonstrate that it's imperative that these outsiders or consultants look at the books, the records, the returns, and other related work that is under audit. And the President should then approve, taking into consideration that national security is not compromised. All this were ignored, and we demonstrated that the Auditor General didn't raise any letter. We demonstrated that the presence of these 6 audit firms at Defense Forces and National Security was irregular and illegal. We seem to have these two as the source of the crisis we have at the National Audit Office. If we are following the rule of law, if all of us are concerned that if monies were stolen and they ought to be recovered, it should be done in a fair, objective manner. I have seen that all these allowances were approved. And even some of the so-called whistleblowers they received these monies. Most of the senior people, like I stated, at Ministry of Finance, National Assembly, Bank of Zambia, who support the work of the Public Accounts Committee, received these monies. And Zambians may need to know, for example, when because of the law, when the intelligence is being audited. When I was an ambassador, I have an office for the intelligence. Usually there's a senior officer who mans that office, at foreign embassies. And the scrutiny and audit is required to be done. The Auditor General personally came with the Director General of Intelligence, because by law is the only one that can allow for the audit of intelligence money, intelligence work, intelligence record. Is the only one that can access those records. Not even the ambassador can. So every year we would receive the Auditor General and the Director General of Intelligence to come and audit that office. I've seen even those allowances are on that list. The Ministry of Finance and all the people involved should ensure that they handle this matter with sensitivities. From the records I've seen so far, the allowances were all approved. Secretary to Cabinet, Secretary to Treasury, Permanent Secretary. I've seen authorities from National Assembly. Where is the crime? It's just important that we explain why these officers received funding and to demonstrate that this was fraudulently obtained. I hope that the SEC who are on the case can quickly, do their job in a fair, objective manner. For those suspending these key officials, let us be fair. Then suspend everyone who received these allowances. Suspend everyone who authorized the payments for 3 years. If this is not done, we think you're choosing and picking and punishing certain people for your own private and personal reasons. In the morning, I gave an example of Sierra Leone, where the Auditor General has been suspended because she requested and demonstrated that the presidency received $3 million illegally. During COVID-19, they submitted fake documents that the president had gone somewhere, when in fact not. When the National Audit Office looked at the receipts and invoices and travel claims, they found that they were all bogus. She, a resolute woman, then applied to the president, and she wanted to audit his office and brought up problems. She was suspended. Is that what we call transparency? Is that what we call accountability? In this case, there are more issues to this investigation than that has been submitted to the public. With those few remarks about the National Audit Office, thank you very much. God bless you. God bless our country. Let our country succeed. See you next time.
Mwamba Emmanuel, Mwamba Emmanuel.